All right now, so that was my pre-workout meal. Some quick digesting carbs between the protein Rice Krispie, which just never gets old, and 2 cups of apple juice, and then a little extra protein on top of that. So mostly just protein and carbs there, keeping the fat low. Usually digest pretty quickly, and then I've got some energy to get after it in the session. I think a few of you were asking why the apple juice in the previous video, which was a full day eating, and that's why. Just quick digesting carb. It's a pretty dense carb as well, so I don't feel real bloated. You know, I'm not having to eat a ton of volume. As you can see, it's visually a small meal, which is nice. So I can go into the gym, get after it, and not feel like I have a rock sitting in my stomach. So these are good things. And speaking of good things or important things, this week of training, probably one of the more important weeks of training that comes up, every maybe month and a half or 2 months in my training, which is a deload week. So looking at the week as a whole, you kind of go into it like, oh man, this is like a rest week, right? And in essence, it is. The goal is to drop fatigue, but that's done by decreasing volume. So total amounts of reps and sets per muscle group drops. Training intensity drops, so I'm not doing as heavy a load, and I'm also not approaching failure. I might stop, 3, 4, 5 reps shy of where I would typically go to hit failure, let alone doing anything like partials or drop sets to push beyond failure. None of that's done this week. And then even cardio is backed off a little bit. And again, all that is to drop fatigue. And the reason you want to drop fatigue is as you train, those stress hormones build up. It takes a toll on your nervous system. So with those hormones, you have things like cortisol, norepinephrine, which have their own roles, but when you continually push yourself and those hormones build, you start to create that imbalance where there's negative side effects to never letting those hormones kind of come back down and settle. So especially with like things like cortisol, norepinephrine, and when you pair that with a relatively low carb diet. So if you've been dieting for a while, all those things can contribute to affecting things like your sleep. So then if your sleep is off, now you have another element that's preventing your recovery. So as you can see, it's almost like diminishing returns. The harder you push, the harder your body can start to fight back, in terms of making progress and, ultimately getting lean or staying lean and building muscle, which I'm sure at some point that's what all of us want to do. So that's where deload week comes in. It allows me to chill out on the training a bit, so my hormones can return to normal, in terms of the cortisol. My sleep can improve, which even after about 3 days, I've already noticed a drastic improvement in my sleep. And then when I get back to it, I'll be able to push hard and actually take advantage of, going heavier week to week, training to failure, because it's one thing, to have enough energy to actually train so that you hit progressive overload so you can improve on your lifts week to week, but then you also want to recover from that progressive overload and build muscle. So that's why I put these deload weeks in, typically prior to my competition. I would do it every like 5 or 6 weeks of my training. Didn't really take a true rest week. Your peak week is kind of a little lighter, but I really didn't back off until I was forced to, and I noticed I was inflamed. I wasn't sleeping well. I was even having a hard time getting a pump in the gym. So all those things are massive warning signs that you might need to chill out. Either take a deload week or a full rest week. Put the calories, bump them up slightly. If not, put them at maintenance so that you can help your body recover. And then you can hit it hard again in the next leg of your training. So that's, like if you guys are in my training app, that's how I designed most of the programs in there to help regulate the amount of fatigue you'll build as you're following the training, as you're following your nutrition. You'll notice every 5 or 6 weeks is a deload. So that section of time is one mesocycle in the program, and you deload, then move on to the second mesocycle. So both the cut and bulk programs have that. If you follow the workout of the week, you notice I regularly put in a deload week. And man, it's real. And in the moment you go, maybe I don't need one, you start training for another week or so, and you'll find out pretty quick, okay, I'm gonna pretty quickly stop making progress. If not, start going backwards if I don't take some time to rest and recover. So just as important as training hard is also recovering hard, or recovering with intent. So that is today's workout. It's a chest day on a deload. Now I am maybe 4 or 5 days into the deload, so I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Should have a decent pump, but I'm not gonna go too crazy. You'll see how I train. Decent weight, maybe 70-80% of what I normally do, but again, stopping 4 or 5 reps shy of failure, and still executing with good form. That's when weeks like this can slow things down, kind of take inventory of the body, see if there's any areas that are tweaked that you might otherwise have just pushed through because you're at a level of intensity. Yeah, that's kind of the 101 on the deload. I need to make some pre-workout, get myself to the gym, and then actually do this chest day. So let's get after it.
You